oneshul.org. My name is Katsira, and I'm very pleased to be back with you again tonight for Rosh Chodesh Iyar. And tonight our service will be following the pattern we've had for a while now. People seem to enjoy it, so we're going to stick with it. And you know what? In Jewish tradition, there's no need to change a ritual if it seems to be working for everybody. So I just posted the service a couple of minutes ago in the chat room. Not sure what happened to that first link. My link went from the right link to suddenly a link to some Loft ad. So opening music for those of you who were here was several cuts from Holy Taya's various and sundry albums. I've been mixing in some new artists lately, but decided just to go back to the 3 different albums we have from her to choose right now and play through all of those. I see lots of familiar names, so good to see you all back tonight. I see 2 people who are viewers and 1 guest. So viewers, I hope you will log in so you can fully participate in the service. And why don't we start tonight the way I generally do, with everyone introducing themselves in the chat room and saying where in the world you're from. So I already can see at least 2 countries represented tonight. And I think probably next month, at least for the Shabbat service that I lead and Rosh Chodesh, probably be pushing back to 8 p.m. It's very quickly become summer here in Washington, D.C., and probably get cold again for a little bit, but it's very warm right now, and the sun is definitely up longer, so probably about that time to swap out, at least for my stuff, to 8 o'clock time, which is better for some, especially people on the West Coast, and worse for some of you who are further east. So we trade off throughout the year of who gets to suffer a little bit with the timing, especially those of you in Europe, and there are actually people in Europe here. I know that when we push the hour later, it's much worse for you, so hopefully it won't be too awful. And yes, it's 82 where Aaron is in Ohio. It's, I think, 85 in Washington, D.C. It's went from 0 to 100 overnight. It was, well, not quite that extreme, but it's warm. We seem to have skipped spring. I'm very fond of spring. Hopefully it'll be cold again, then we'll complain it's cold, and then it'll be time for warm. So as we kick off our service tonight, we had a little chat in the chat room going about the Omer, which we are in the time known as the counting of the Omer. And most of us actually this year seem to have not been following it super closely, which for me is actually a little strange because for the last several years I've been following it very closely and really using this period of time and working through various interpretations of the Kabbalistic system of reading of the counting of the Omer and using it as a spiritual process. So it is actually a little strange this year that I'm not. It's the 15th, and so I'm pretty sure, Eric helped me out, that's Tiferet within Tiferet, correct? Yeah, it's the 16th at sundown. So once we hit that, we'll be at sundown. Oops. My backdrop just fell. Oh well. So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, I'm going to post something in the chat room. There is Jill Hammer's wonderful book that has great information, and actually also she wrote a book that is specifically the counting of the Omer, and you can find that as well. This is my guide to counting the Omer, and specifically for this week that we're on, if that will help you. We're not going to play with that too much tonight because I am completely unprepared to do that. But we're moving into the month of Iyar, and Iyar is a really interesting month because it's a month of healing. I'm going to find really fast, it's the word Iyar is actually an acronym, and I'm going to find what that means in a second because I have forgotten, sorry. And if any of you remember in the chat room, help me out because it's just completely slipped my mind what Iyar is an acronym for. There it is. Oh, wait. No, I didn't find it yet. Okay, I'm not going to find it. It is an acronym that has to do with healing. And for some reason, my brain not working tonight. So I'm not finding that for you. Nope, I'm looking and I'm not finding it tonight. So again, if any of you in the chat, oh wait for it. You're probably bored already. There it is. Iyar actually stands for Ani Adonai Rofecha. I am God, your healer. Here you go. Let me put that in the chat room for those of you who had to sit through that. And if you're watching this later, I'm really sorry that was boring for you. So that's what it stands for. And so this is very much a month to work on healing, personal, physical, emotional, the world, you. And there's a lot to do, especially as we journey our way from Mitzrayim to Shavuot and the holy mountain where we receive our revelation. So, you know, no pressure, just a little bit to do this month. But we haven't even started yet, so let's kick off our service and begin with the reading of intent. And if you're new, I'll actually walk through kind of the outline of the service for you. So we begin with reading the intent, and then we do a Barhu, the prayer that is the calling of people into sacred space. And with that, you can sing along with me if you'd like. But what I definitely ask is that you share in the chat room the name you wish to be called into this space as. It could be your given name. It could be your Hebrew name. It could be a word that's just resonant for you right now. And then I'll sing you into the space. So that way we can connect ourselves across the physical boundaries that we have between us. We'll then move into expressions of gratitude with the chant Moda Ani. And we will end with, we will next move to prayers of strength for the month that is to come. And then finally, a receiving of energy, opening ourselves up to all the wondrous possibilities that are out there. So we have certain things to think of that we need strength for, but after that, we open ourselves to possibilities and revelation. And mitzvah cards, yes. They are right here. I have them. So yes, before we move into the opening of possibilities, there was a special request to continue this practice this month, so we're going to. For anyone who would like, we'll pull one of these mitzvah cards for you as a personal intention to think about for the month. So why don't we dive in? Yeah, okay, people like it. We'll keep doing it then. So let's dive in. Why do we come together each month? Well, we come together as a community to welcome in the new month and give thanks for all the blessings in life and receive strength for any struggles. So let's move into our Barhu. I will sing because, well, if I don't, it will be silence. And then I will sing you all into the space with the names that you share in the chat room. Barhu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Barhu, dear one, Ariel, Moshe, you have called on the light of your soul. Welcome home. Barhu, dear one, Abraham, holy name, you have called on the light of your souls. Welcome home. Barhu, dear one, Eliav, holy name, you have called on the light of your soul. Welcome home. Barhu, dear one, Tamara, holy name, soul. Welcome home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. We have called on the light of our souls. We've come home, and one more. Baruch Hu, dear one, in holy name. You have called on the light of your soul. Welcome home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. We have called on the light of our souls. We've come home. Just taking a moment to sit in the space, listen to the birds chirp that I can hear all around me, the traffic, my refrigerator, something else I just can't quite identify. Just take a moment and close your eyes, and I'll be quiet for a second and see what you hear. Active listening can be a very interesting form of prayer, to just let yourself be in the space. For some, the idea of meditation is very intimidating, just sitting there silently. But one way to think about it is you're not just sitting there silently, you're listening intently to everything around you. And by listening to everything around you, you can still that voice that's inside of you. Many of us are, in especially the modern era, I think, plagued with just the constant chatter because there's so much going on. So just take a moment when you can, especially in springtime, when the birds are chirping, and I swear you can hear the trees blooming and the flowers blooming some days. There's so much going on. And the sound I'm expecting to hear soon is the 17-year cicada swarm coming. That should be fascinating. I don't remember the last 17-year. There is metaphor there. It's the last one I distinctly remember is 2004. I don't think I was in an area that the cicadas hit 17 years ago, just before. But I very much remember 2004. I think they were called Brood 10, Brood X. Very ominous. But it's cycles of life, and it's the same thing that we do. We come together each month. We come together each week for Shabbos sometimes. Each year we come together for different holidays. And Judaism also has larger looping cycles. We have our leap year. We have the Shemitah year. And within that, we also have the natural world phenomena, like the 17-year cicadas. And I remember when the 2004, which is, I guess, a 13-year cycle, came, afterwards, what I remember were the holes in the ground. big holes everywhere, especially when I would go hiking in the Shenandoah Mountains. And we have a bunch of mountains around here, but the Catoctin Mountains and the Shenandoah Mountains. And you realize that there were just these holes everywhere in the ground from where the cicadas bubbled up, and they were about the size of a quarter. They were big. And I remember that my husband and I were talking about how maybe part of the role of the cicada in our world, as kind of gross as the swarm is sometimes, is to actually aerate the soil in a way that can't be done in any other way. They're burrowing out and leaving these big holes. So maybe there is something to that. And something to think about, and maybe in the cycles in our lives, those things that seem like we don't like them very much, they keep coming around and around, but serve a purpose within our world and within our own lives. And sometimes those things like cicadas that inconvenience us because there's hundreds of bugs everywhere, and they're big, they're really big, but they're harmless. And, they seem like an inconvenience and gross. And yet possibly they serve this completely unknown but vital function, sort of like kashrus in a way. Part of kashrus, you can say that it's health benefits, all these things. We don't really know. And there's so many things in Judaism that we're asked to literally take on faith, and each of us decides for ourselves how many of them we're going to actually take on personally. And so each of those, kind of like the cicadas in a way, we don't know why they're here, but they're here. So we have to, in a way, assume, if we're choosing to take them on, that there's a deeper reason for it, that just by letting it happen, we'll do hopefully some good in the world. I have no idea where that came from, so hopefully that wasn't just rambling for you all. So let's move into our expressions of gratitude, since apparently I am grateful for the cicada swarm that's coming. Very excited about that. And for our expressions of gratitude, we think about everything that has gone right in our lives in the month that is ending now. For some of you, it's past sundown, so you've already transitioned. For the rest of us, we're in transition. But thinking about everything that's gone right, everything you're grateful for. And I'll list off some of the many things that, oh my goodness, Erin has a new job, which I want to hear lots about in this chat room, so you have to share. But just think about the fact that if you're online with us tonight, you have to have power. You have to have the internet, which means you either have enough money for a computer at home, or you're enough money for an internet cafe somewhere. You have enough money to pay the internet bill. You have a home, hopefully, because you're online somewhere, and so hopefully you actually even have a home and shelter and food. You got up this morning. You woke up this morning. You've made it through almost an entire day. And for some of us, that's harder than for others. For some people, just getting through the day is a monumental, epic struggle, whether it's from not having enough employment or from just finding the emotional burden of a day to be so overwhelming. So think about everything that has gone right in your life in this month that is passing. Your Passover Seder. I bet most of that, if you had one, went well. Was the food good? What happened? So everything, think about everything that went right in your life, everything you are grateful for. We're going to get to the hard stuff in a minute, but let's start in that place of gratitude. And we'll sing Moda Ani for the ladies, Moda Ani for the gentlemen. For those of you fond of feminine God language, it would be Lifanaich and Vikayemet. And for those of you fond of masculine God language, Lifanecha and Vikayam. So share all those amazing things in the chat room. I will do my best to sing them in. And that way we can all enjoy with each other the triumphs of the month that has passed and inspire each other through what we're grateful for. Moda ani lefanecha, moda ani lefanecha, ruachai vekayam. Oh, I am grateful. Oh, I am grateful. in the face of the one, in the face of the one. Moda ani lefanayich, Moda ani lefanayich, Ruach Chai v'kayemet. Oh, I am grateful. Oh, I am grateful in the face of the one, in the face of the one. Moda ani lefanecha, Moda ani lefanecha.